Hello, Washington FBLA. Welcome back to another episode of CareerCast, providing members with a peek into their future as industry professionals and FBLA alumni show how their FBLA journey or business background has shaped their careers and continues to guide their future. My name is Samyukta Krishnan, and I'm serving as your West Central Region Vice President this year. Joining us today are two very special guests, both state officers from different CTSOs. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Shriya Patel. I'm the state president from Washington HOSA, Future Health Professionals, a- and I want to be a future pediatrician.
Hi everyone, my name is Santiago Gonzales-Corzo. I am the current state vice president for Washington TSA, which is the Technology Student Association, and we're focused on STEM and STEM education and careers. And I actually want to go into a business major in college, but I still love STEM. So yeah.
I love that. So, what kind of made you guys decide to join your CTSO in the first place? Because I know that sometimes we're just kind of thrown into like high school and we just have to pick something. But yeah, do you guys want to talk a little bit about what kind of got you to join it at first?
Yeah, I can start. So I started HOSA in eighth grade, and basically when I started, it was like COVID, so like everything was online, and I feel like HOSA hasn't really there's not a lot of middle school chapters. So I kind of saw that there wasn't any like healthcare organizations, and my sister was in HOSA, so I kind of took that and I was like, okay, I want to start this. So I started it in eighth grade, and then kind of like basing it off of my sister, she was also a state officer, so that was definitely like a big inspiration and like guiding me along the way. And because she was a state officer, I then like ran for state office and got into it kind of through that.
Yeah, I joined TSA also in middle school in seventh grade. And then I competed in middle school and it was a lot of fun. The competition level is a lot easier in middle school, which is you see across most CTSOs. And then I didn't do it in eighth grade because I was COVID. I kind of didn't really do anything, even like my homework during eighth grade. And then going into freshman year, my school had TSA, but we had like seven students. And then at that state conference, we placed last in like every event. So and like we had like four or five seniors too. So I was like, okay, do I continue like to do TSA and like try really hard and dedicate myself, or do I kind of just let it die out? And I'm glad I dedicated myself because now we have like a really strong chapter. And this is my second year as state officer, and I believe Shriya, this is your third. Yeah, I just getting into it at a young age was really an opportunity for me to like find other people that like what I was doing and like have similar interests. 'Cause, for example, I do like design stuff. Like I do less STEM based stuff, even though we are a STEM organization. We have a lot of arts based events and a lot of like creative opportunities and outlets. So that's what I did in middle school, and that's what I continue to do in high school.
Yeah, I mean, unlike you guys, I actually had a very different experience where like everybody at my school did FBLA and I kind of just did it because I wanted to like fit in at that time. I didn't think it would be like as impactful as it in my life today. But yeah, kind of leading on to the next question. I know a lot of people see CTSOs as like separate and find them to be like competitive even with one another. So how do you guys think like different CTSOs support each other? Because I know from the state officer side, we actually collaborate a lot. So do you guys want to expand on that?
Yeah, I can start a little bit on that. I mean, of course, the state officers, we work together a lot to like not only do these interviews that we're doing right now, but during like legislative day, we schedule our meetings together for, legislators. And then behind the scenes, we talk a lot about how we run our conferences, like what similarities, differences, and overlap between events. The biggest thing I see definitely is like overlap with certain events and categories. For example, like every CTSO has a public speaking or like a professionalism sort of based thing. And that's like something I see across the board. And it's something I've been able to convince other officers to join TSA because I'm like, oh yeah, we have public speaking. Oh yeah, we have prepared presentation, things like that. And then I mean, last year or these past 2 years, I've done DECA as well, which is again of like a business-based organization. And it's helped me not only hone in on my public speaking skills in TSA, but also like practice it through DECA and have another completely different competition experience through a different CTSO. So yeah, I think they work together very hand in hand, especially if you do more than one at high school, which everyone should do.
Yeah, kind of adding on to that, there's I think a lot of people think, oh, like for HOSA, it's like very medical based. So it's like, I want to be a doctor, so I'm only going to do HOSA. But I think doing more CTSO doesn't harm anyone because it's literally like more experience, you meet more people, and kind of like what Santi said, there's a lot of overlap in events. And just because I want to go into medicine doesn't mean I can't find like business fascinating. Like I do FBLA too, and the events like cross over a lot. And I think it's just really interesting to learn about other things in other organizations too. But I think definitely there's a lot of behind the scenes like state officer collaboration, and there's nothing like there's no rule that says, "Oh, I'm in DECA, so I can't do like TSA." So I think definitely like doing more than one is literally not going to harm anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I know my sophomore year, I did like all three. It was really chaotic, but I really loved like learning something from each of them. And unfortunately, my school doesn't have a HOSA chapter anymore. But this year I joined TSA and that was really fun. So I think that like getting that experience and just having fun with it and really exploring, because I think CTSOs are like the perfect place to really like find what you want to do. And I think even if what you're doing or competing in isn't that like specific career field you want to go into, it teaches you a lot about like public speaking, kind of how to present yourself. I know that in every event, almost every event, we have like presentations. So I think that those teach you a lot, right? Like Q&A skills, like being quick-witted, just how to speak in front of people and address a large crowd. So I think that it teaches you a lot of life skills too. So definitely agree with you both on that. I know like people often think about like joining one CTSO and kind of lock into that, like into a singular career path. And we were just talking about this. And I know you guys are both talking about like how you agree and you think that, people should be able to branch out and enjoy and take what they can from all CTSOs. Do you guys have like personal experiences you guys want to share and maybe talk about?
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned earlier, I am a TSA and I've done TSA for 5 years, but I do want to be a business major is what I applied for all the colleges that I applied to. Is because like do it within TSA and through TSA, I've done not only the STEM events, but like the arts events and the media-based events, but also like the public speaking presentation-based events. And the biggest event we have for public speaking is called XM Speech, where we get a prompt, we get 15 minutes to take notes, and then you go deliver a speech for between 3 to 5 minutes. And doing that and like working like behind the scenes, especially like working on their portfolios, which is like the documentation for every event, and doing the interviews with the judges made me realize I like that a lot more than like working really, really hard on like a specific project. Like I did architectural design last year, and it was a lot of fun. I loved it, but I'm like, this is just not exactly what I want to do in the future. So yeah, it's funny for me, and I've had this experience where like TSA's helped me realize that I do want to be a business major instead of like an engineer or an architect. And I talked to my executive director about that. And when I mentioned that, she's like, yeah, we've had that a lot in the past as well with state officers who actually go into political science or go into business, and similar things like that because they realize through TSA that they don't actually want to be like an engineer, which is what I thought I wanted to be ever since I was a little kid. But yeah, I think it's really, really cool that it's helped me discover that what I don't want to do, and exactly what I do want to do, even though, I've been in TSA for how long. And yeah, I would say like that's like my unique experience. But if you look back at the past, like that's a pretty common thing you see with a lot of specifically TSA officers. Is a lot of them love STEM, or a lot of them want to go into like business or political science, things like that.
Yeah, so for me, my school has FBLA and DECA, and you have to be in like the marketing class for DECA. So I never did DECA, but I did FBLA, and so my freshman year, I did mobile application development, and I have never coded in my life. Like I have never touched code. I don't know how to code. But me and my sister did it together, and somehow we got first at like state. No idea how. Don't know how that happened, but we did that, and I think that was really cool because it like I actually learned how to code from that. So it definitely like taught me that. And I've also done prepared public speaking, I think, in FBLA. I did prepared speaking in HOSA. So it's like an overlap, which I think is really cool. But I think it's definitely taught me a lot about like public speaking and like learning new things. Cause like I said, I've never coded. But also like going back a little bit, I think each TSO, they're so similar, but like everyone has a different experience in it. I think doing like FBLA and HOSA, I've seen like the differences and how they're like incredible in their own ways. And I think because of that, it's super cool to do multiple because you're gonna learn something different in each one. no matter what event you do, if it's the same event, you're still going to learn something different and meet like incredible people.
Yeah, I agree, and I wanted to add on. I do really wish my school had FBLA because we only have TSA, DECA, HOSA, and FCCLA, which is Family Consumer Sciences. And yeah, I mean, I was gonna start a chapter this year, but I was like, well, it's senior year. I have a lot of other things to also be focusing on this year, but I do really wish my school had FBLA because I like when I talk to the FBLA officers and see what you guys do. And also one of our state officers this year on the team has done FBLA and has gone to nationals. And since this is my second year on a state team with also almost completely brand new team, I've had two officers, one from last year, one from this year, that both have like done really good stuff in FBLA, and I've seen what they do, and it's really, really impressive to me. So I really do wish my school had FBLA, but so that's why I like encouraging students if they have these opportunities to do like more than just one, then do it because a lot of schools across the state of Washington and nationally don't have they maybe don't even have, one CTSO or barely even have two. So I'm lucky that we have four, but if whatever you have, you should, try to be able to do.
I know, Santi, you were mentioning about how you wanted to do business and you're on the TSA state office board. I'm actually the other way around. I want to go into computer engineering, but I'm on the FBLA state office. And I think that it still teaches you so much. And I think like whatever CTSO you do, you will learn so much from it. And you can kind of, I think branching out teaches you a lot about the groups of people. And I honestly like felt the vibe was different in every single CTSO I was in, and all of them in different positive ways. And I think that like CTSOs are the best way to really learn about what you're interested in. Like I was interested in like pharmacology, and we don't learn that at school, right? And so I did that last year at First State, and then I took that to Nats. And I was so surprised about how much I learned. I was like, I definitely didn't need to know all of that. Like it wasn't necessary for my like major, but it was so interesting. And I think that like that's an experience you won't get unless you do branch out. So I'm definitely like on the same page as both of you. I know Santi, you were kind of hinting onto this, but what would you guys say to a student who felt like they had to pick the right CTSO for their future career?
I think my sister always tells me this, but if you decide you like, I've decided I want to be a doctor, right? In college, there's nothing holding you back from like trying out new things. I know so many people who, like, when they're younger, they're like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to do computer science, but they end up changing their path. So, like, there's nothing like is set in stone about what you're going to be in the future. So, I think trying out new things doesn't harm anybody. And, like we've said before, you're still going to learn stuff from every single CTSO. So, there's really nothing like you're not going to lose anything from joining multiple.
Yeah, a big thing I would recommend is like people who think they have to pick the right one or just like they have ideas of what they want to do, especially like freshmen, sophomores in high school. When you have like an idea what you want to do in the future, but in reality of like no set idea like what you're going to do in college. The biggest thing I recommend doing is just talking to your advisors for these separate CTSOs or going to like a club fair, going to like a rally or something where you can just learn a lot more about it in person, especially like a one-on-one face-to conversation with advisors who really know what they're talking about. Because I mean, they know a lot about they already know about the events and what it's able to offer. So if you really pinpoint like certain areas of interest, they can lead you in the right path for certain ones. And that's what I've done is like through TSA. I mean, I've had kids just talk to me like I've just talked to them like, what do you want to do in the future? Like, what do you have an idea of? And then helping them like, hey, maybe you want to do children's stories, or maybe you want to do biotechnology design, or pair presentation, or architectural design. There's just a lot of things, and the biggest thing I recommend doing again is just that face-to-face one-on-one conversation with someone who knows what they're talking about with these CTSOs. And again, like we've said it multiple times, but there's no harm in joining multiple, even if it's a lot of work, especially as a freshman and sophomore, because your workload is a lot less compared to, junior year when you're taking the SATs and your scholarships, and then senior year when you're writing as many college applications as you can do and still doing all your scholarships and stuff. But yeah, I said it again and again, but just that, real face-to-face conversation about them and then trying as much as you can, especially when your workload's a lot less.
I was just gonna say, like, as cliche as it sounds, you're never gonna know if you don't try. And like you don't if you're a freshman, even like till like senior year, you don't have to know what you want to do in the future. And so like really trying out all these different CTSOs, you're just gonna learn so much, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, and I promise you, like, you will change your mind because I like my freshman year, I wanted to be a cardiologist. Obviously did not choose that path because I took AP Comp Sci and I was like, oh wait, I kind of like this. And then I kind of ditched the whole like cardiologist idea. And then I didn't know what I was going to be for a while. So that's why I did like TSA and HOSA and FBLA. And then I was like, you know what? I think I kind of like FBLA, but I also want to do my coding. And so I think that making sure that you step up and like give yourself a chance to grow and learn and also fail because I think that like failure will teach you so much. Like I think my freshman year I at HOSAT like I did not even place at like state and I know like I learned a lot from that and I took the feedback that I got from my judges and I improved on it in all my like events whether it was HOSA, FBLA or TSA because I think that you learn like a lot about yourselves through all the events that you do in any CTSO. So, yeah.
I also think like I don't know, like at our conferences, I think being around people who are so like passionate and motivated like motivates me to do more, which I think is really cool. And just like that environment of CTSOs is so powerful that it's incredible. Like I just think there's like no words to describe it and it like motivates me to do more, which I think is super good.
No, I just want to like sort of add on say like I've had plenty of friends who like they join TSA or they join DECA and like they're like, oh, this is cool or whatever, this is fun. And like I'll just do my event, have fun at state. And I tell them how like life-changing and fun state is, but they don't really realize it until, they're there and they're in the room with almost 2,000 other kids who are wearing because in TSA give every kid a polo to wear for competition, or whatever. They can just keep their polo. And it's the big thing every year where we keep that color a secret until they actually show up to state. But we give everyone a polo and seeing a room flooded with just the same color polo, and people just like cheering for like their chapter when they win and things like especially the opening ceremony when we have a parade of chapters so everybody holds up their little banners like Linwood High School blah 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 and then like they're all the kids cheer and like that environment and that like place to be. It's like it's something that's so unique to every CTSO that like it's just a lot of fun. And again, you see it as a different level within every CTSO. Like when I do DECA and when I went to state last year, it was a completely different environment, but just the same amount of fun and competition and like being surrounded with the people who are trying just as hard as you are. And then when you go to nationals, it's even better because it's the best of the best from each of these states who are, I assume wearing like a lot more formal attire and trying their best, from, across the country, which is some of the best networking experience I've ever got in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know before like joining CTSOs, I was super shy and like horrible at public speaking. And like CTSOs, like whether I wanted to or not, really like shoved me out of that hole. Because I mean, now I'm definitely better at public speaking and I love networking so much more. And I know that me like freshman year would not have wanted to do like networking. So I think like going to like ILC or NLC or like TSA nationals, I'm not sure what you guys call it, but um I think that each one of those, like I've gone to nationals for all of them, and each like ILC or like national level competition is so unique, and the people you meet are so passionate. And I think that for me, every time I come back from like nationals, I'm so motivated to just get everything done. And I think that you don't really get that energy from anywhere else. It's so unique to CTSO. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing I like wanted to really quickly add on to that is like we are talking a lot about CTSOs and joining them, but the biggest thing is if you're starting out young, try running for a state officer position. I mean, every CTSO has its different experiences, but then again, like with us three, we all know each other pretty well. We've all worked together in countless things across like the year. Like we had training in May, at least in Washington, training in May, and then meetings over the fall and whatnot, and then legislative day in January. It's just like having this network and connection and group of people across the state who are all leaders just like you is really, really powerful. And then when you go to your whatever international or national conference that you have, seeing state teams from across the country is also so, so, so cool. Because I have friends like in Kansas, which I never, believed. I didn't think that would be possible. But like the national TSA president this year is from Kansas, and we talk all the time. And then if you would have told me 2 years ago that you're like really close friends with the national president, I would have been like, you're crazy. So yeah, it's just being a state officer especially gives you that way more intense and crazier and more fun experience, whatever CTSO you do it for. So yeah.
I have one last thing to add, I promise. But I think something really powerful about CTSOs is like I call it like the CTSO bond. I just feel like everyone in it clicks so much because you're so passionate about like this shared thing. Like it's kind of something that like unites everyone together. And one of my best friends I've met through HOSA, and I think like if you don't join a CTSO, there's so much like possibilities in them that like I don't know, it's just helped me grow so much, and I love seeing other people grow in them too, which I think is super cool too.
Yeah, and I honestly consider FBLA and especially like our state officer team like my family. Like I swear to God, like they know everything that's happening in my life and like they're always there to support me and we're all passionate about the same things. And so it's so easy to just like talk to them. And I think that like by not running for a state office or by not joining a CTSO, you're kind of giving up a family you could have. And I think that that's an opportunity everyone should have. So yeah, I'm definitely like even at school, like any freshman or sophomore, junior, I seem like you should run for state office because I think it's such a valuable experience and you learn a lot about like yourself. You learn a lot about how to work with people. And yeah, we do that in school, but on a like state office, I think level, I think we kind of do a lot more. We kind of a lot of event planning goes into it. And I think the level of collaboration we do within like our own groups and within like CTSOs, like across CTSOs, I think is pretty incredible. And like this would not be happening. I would not be able to have like this conversation with you guys if we weren't on state offices. So I definitely think that that's such an important experience in, well, at least my life. But yeah, I mean, finally, I kind of want to give everybody like a good note to end off on. So if you guys could go back and give your younger self any CTSO advice, what would it be?
Um, I have like two little points, and one is more me specific. But for middle school, I did it in seventh grade, and then didn't do it for TSA in eighth grade because it was COVID. And I really regret not doing it in eighth grade because I would have given me just that one extra year of experience or that one extra year to really develop and hone in on my skills, and potentially could have run for state office like as a freshman instead of like I did run as a sophomore, but I could have had that strong experience as a freshman, or made that even better because of, that 1 year of experience. So that's like one thing I personally regret not doing is like, oh, I really wish I did it in eighth grade as well. But again, it was COVID, so I don't think anybody did anything really. And then the other piece of advice I would give myself is I know every CTSO has different things. Like for events, we have event guides, which just tells you exactly what you need to do in your event, like the portfolio specifications, all of that. Read your event guide, whatever CTSO it is, like make sure you know the guidelines, know the specifications, know all the rules. Because you'll walk into like we've had kids go into nationals asking, "What's an event guide?" It's like, how do you not know what an event guide is? Things like that. It's because it outlines everything you need for your events. So look at it. So read it. So though, like, I mean, if you care about an event a lot, you should almost know it by heart. Not really, but thing it's just knowing it and reading over those tiny details can really make a difference because I've had people at nationals and state get disqualified for having one page extra of a certain section that they're not allowed to. Things like that. And they have amazing projects, but they just didn't read it closely enough. So whatever your level you're at, and especially younger, just even if it's a huge like 5 million pages of text, just read it all, just go over it a couple times just to know exactly what you're doing. Because I didn't for digital video production last year for TSA, and I made my event 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes long. Well, I don't even know how that slipped past my team of six, but it's okay. So yeah, just read whatever you're given and know what you're doing for your event as early as possible.
No, yeah, definitely read your guidelines. You would be surprised how much like you can find in that. And we do like Q&As on our Instagram and during like close to our state. And I swear every answer to everyone's questions is read your guideline because there's so much in those guidelines. But I think for me at least, I would recommend my younger self not to be scared because I feel like when I was younger, I was scared of like what if I fail? What if like what will people think if I do this? Like I feel like fear holds us back so much, and I think that held me back so much. But like through joining a CTSO, I learned to be confident in myself, and I think letting go of that fear is the only way you can actually like be confident and like I feel like fear just suppresses your fun and then you can't have fun. And that's not fun. So, yeah.
I love the way you put that. I mean, that's honestly how I feel too. I think that like we let our fears stop us from growing so much. I wish I had run for state office like a year earlier, I was so scared. I was like, there's no way. Like, if I don't make it, people are gonna laugh at me. And people wouldn't have laughed at me. Like, I look back now, I'm like, you should have just ran. So I think for me, my biggest piece of advice is like ask questions, like reach out to your chapter. I mean, I know a lot of people within my chapter, we have like this event review sessions we do in our chapter. And I know a lot of people use that to just kind of get feedback on how they can improve things. And I know there are a lot of people who have questions and don't come because they're too scared to ask us questions. And I think the thing that I want to let people know is that like we are here to help you. We want to help you. We want to see you succeed. So just ask us questions and we will be more than happy to answer. And also, yeah, definitely run for a state office.
Also on the question thing, I literally get so excited when someone asks me a question. So literally don't be scared to ask questions because questions I feel like is you can learn so much from a question. So don't be scared to ask questions.
I'll leave text undelivered for like a week, so I'll just forget to respond. But as soon as it's like a TSA question, I'm like, yes, yes, ask me whatever you want. I feel bad for everybody else, but TSA is my number one. So
And I think that like getting help is always, can be hard or like scary. But once you do that, I think that like sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want and you can achieve whatever you want. So yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything else to add?
I was just gonna say, like, you'd be surprised how less people judge. Like, I feel like in your mind, you're like, oh my gosh, if I do something, someone's gonna judge me so hard. But like, I feel like a lot of people just don't care. Like, if you do something, I will not care. Like, there's like a limit, but like, people don't judge as hard as you think they judge you. So like, just keep that in mind.
I think even as like a state officer, I remember at my WLC, I like might have like tripped up on a word and like I fully thought like everybody was gonna start laughing at me. But like I don't think people cared that much. They were like, okay, move on, right? And so I think
We're
that
all human.
yeah, exactly. Like embrace your mistakes, just learn from it and grow. And as long as you grow from it and learn, you should be good.
last thing I just want to say is just it's just such a crazy opportunity that you're given, especially at the high school level, because you're not paying for a college degree to go pursue something that you don't know if you want to do. You have the opportunity to figure out what you want to do and really hone in on that for senior year within high school. And it's like again, just like not only is the competition, it's the fun, it's the leadership, but you meet so many people that can have like a crazy impact on your life, especially on the state team or just like with people you've competed with in your chapter or people you meet at state, things like that. And we had, I mean, a couple years ago, we had two of our state officers from like 2018, 2017 get married. So it's things like that. It's like it's crazy, right? It's just like having you meet these so having these connections, you meet so many people. It's these little things that every CTSO has that is just so powerful and impactful on your life that, you're really missing out if you don't at least give it a shot.
Yeah, I definitely think people like having connections to people is power. I mean, you learn and grow so much, and that again is like another thing you have in your back pocket. Being afraid to like make mistakes or being afraid to like take that next step can really change the course of your life. And I think that it's not worth it. Just take that step, like network with people, kind of do whatever. Like if you're scared that like you did like coding and well, what was it? Like you didn't even know how to code
I
and you just
don't
did
even
it.
know how to code, guys.
So just do it and you'll be fine. Like it's okay. And things sometimes do end up in your favor. Like you got first place. Anybody can do it. Like people can learn new skills. And I think that CTSOs have that valuable opportunity where you don't have to sit in like a coding class an hour every single day to like do that. You can learn that on your own time. And I think that CTSOs push people in that direction to kind of go out of their comfort zone and learn something new. So yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Santi and Shriya. I hope you guys have a great day. If those of you watching have any questions about today or any other questions you'd like to see answered by FBLA alumni or industry representatives, feel free to reach out to any of us on the State Officer team. Make sure to follow at WAFBLA on Instagram to stay updated on all of our future CareerCast episodes. See you next month!